her ancestors back to someone who fought in the Union Army. That's why I'm kind of interested with across the street on Pioneer Cemetery. There's a lot of symbolism. But I wanted to try to tie our campus to get some press and listen to these things. Because really there's no way.
No, I just wanted to.
It's like you're going to trying to attract the membership is really.
Another chair.
Oh, okay.
Exactly, yes. And then really, so if I get a guy who's interested, now I gotta say to him, okay, that's you told me. You have the choice. Now he gets to the point where.
Thank you. I was gonna ask you about it.
Thank you.
And this one's on power. Oh, I can poke around my email too. And I'm trying to get to resolution.
I don't go.
Oh,
So it's actually the same color.
so the meeting yesterday,
What's that?
the on the town board, they had two cameras. I like that. Oh, that worked out pretty well, kind of. Yeah, I like
What we need to
that.
test is, can we have both of them with microphones on? Because if you look carefully, one of those had an active mic.
Okay, and it was a little difficult to hear
The
something.
Raiders.
I did fine, so I don't know if we could get, so in my court, I have. It's just
The
the
Green
little,
Mountain
they
Boys.
look like they're this big, and they're microphones, and they stick on the tables. And I don't know if that would be something that,
I don't know what Zoom will do if you have 5 microphones.
it's all tied into one wire. But they feed off of each other, yeah, because we used to have them running along our bench, and then now we got these.
So it's interesting.
It'll be eeny, meeny, miny, moe. Yeah.
Yeah, we don't go back that far.
So
My answer is-
what is she doing? So she told me she was gonna have me do it. So you're just gonna. So that's it. So the only thing you had to do is plug this laptop into that. So we need a new one of those.
Or an adapter for each.
I know where it was going.
So I have to get that. We've got a spare laptop which has an adapter.
Okay. Well, I can either tell John that we need to order a new one of
So the
those.
other thing is, if we make the apply and we're done with another plug. So. Yeah, I think
We'll figure it out.
Oh,
and
okay.
if it was not
Now will it be
7 p.m.
good?
no, it would be fine, if it works.
Okay, so go by the clock on the wall, it's 7 o'clock, so call the meeting to order, and Ed O'Brien's going to give us the pledge tonight.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to ask you all to please take a moment. This past week was when my son Cade, a lifelong resident of this village, was tragically killed during the course of the 10th and the 11th. So it's particularly, it's been 10 years now. It's a difficult time. And if you could just reflect on this for a minute, that's all I ask. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ed. Everyone should have an agenda an updated roster and a new copy of the worksheet that's been updated since our last meeting. Those are the handouts. And then Myron was kind enough to bring a new flag code brochure, flag etiquette brochure for us, because we have to consider the flag code for the military protocol that's involved. So those are the things that you should have in front of you for tonight. Housekeeping items, Mr. Haney sent out an email that all of you had, and I would just say to you that because we are appointees of the town board, if any of you want to resign or leave the committee, you need to address that resignation to the town board. You're welcome to leave if you would like to, but we cannot release you from that commitment. So, Mr. Haney, if you decide that you want to do that, you need to send a letter to the supervisor, and I think he directed you to send a letter to the town clerk so that it would become on the agenda for the town board. So since you're here tonight, I'm assuming that you are still a member of the committee. Is that correct?
That's an interesting one because I received a reprimand from Mr. Moffett.
Well, I received a
Because
copy of it as well, and I don't think it was a reprimand. It was just a direction that we cannot accept a resignation. Only the town can issue.
Well, it's an interesting one because I have been trained my entire life to follow the chain of command. In school, you talk to your teacher. That doesn't work, then you go to the principal, then you go to the superintendent, so on. And I saw that in the Cub Scouts, I saw it in the Boy Scouts, I saw it in the military, I saw it in Eastman Kodak for my entire career. Everywhere I saw. And that's why I submitted my resignation to you. You are the
I'm the chair of this
boss
committee,
of this group.
but I had nothing to do with appointments. And in New York State law, you resign to your appointing officer, which would be the
Okay.
town board. So if you are so inclined to do that, that's
Well,
the
that's
protocol.
an interesting one because I accepted the reprimand and I sent it this morning, in the mail, an apology to Mr. Moffett for my a lack of understanding of how this is outside the chain of command. So therefore, you shouldn't have been involved. It should have been directly to him.
Well, in any case,
I
you're
understand
here.
that.
We're assuming that you want to still be here with us until
Well,
you no longer do so.
I was going to make this my last time here. But I received an interesting phone call, and I can talk about it now if you want, or later.
Well, I think
later
we
on.
have enough business tonight that we
Okay.
really need to get on with
All
it,
right.
but as long as you're understanding the procedure from here, if you choose to.
Yeah.
Decline.
Yeah.
Okay.
understand.
All right, so with that in mind, the item that you have before you is a roster, which is updated. We corrected Steve's name and we put some more contact information. So what you have in front of you right now is the correct roster for the committee as it exists currently. Are there any other housekeeping items that anyone has? Okay. Moving on then, committee members all have a name tag. Bonnie Toomey is with us tonight to take minutes. Bonnie would appreciate if you give your name tag so that if she's taking minutes, she can keep track of who's saying what. So Bonnie, thank you for being here. And Danny Bassett here is with us tonight to run Zoom for us, as well as to help us when we get to the considerations of the worksheet that we're going to concentrate on tonight so that everybody can see as we update that. So thank you for being here as well. Is anybody with us on Zoom?
Nope.
And there are no other guests here tonight, so do any of the committee members have questions about any other committee member that you didn't learn about them last week, or anything you wanted to ask them individually? By way of introduction? Okay, all right. Moving on then, we have minutes from our last meeting, which was March 23rd. I know Denise sent those out to you electronically. Does anyone have any additions, corrections to those minutes as they were received in draft? Okay, and could we have a motion and a second, please, for approval?
So moved.
Second by Mr. Haney, seconded by Cynthia Carroll. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, carried. Now, those minutes will be posted to the website for the town right now. If you had a chance to look at the website, you would see that the town resolution is on that site so that people are aware of the charge to the committee and the unofficial minutes from our last meeting. So they'll be changed to official now and be posted along with that. Okay, in terms of the committee organization, I would tell you that in the Sentinel for the April 1st edition in the legal notices, our meeting schedule was published. So that is officially on board. More folks, you have a copy of that came out to you as well via email. And I apologize, I knew and forgot when we were setting the meeting schedule that the 22nd of June is the primary date. This is a polling place. So that kind of puts us out of contention for a meeting that night. So hopefully that will be okay. But that is the only change that occurred since you approved it. Record availability is either in-person requested at the town hall or open to the public via the website, again, in conformance with the New York State open meetings law. Okay.
Can you clarify, June 22nd, we are not meeting or we are in alternate location?
No, not meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Denise Zimmerman continues to be the central point of focus for our committee communications. So that's working well from our end going out to you, and I hope if you have anything, you will feed it to her, and it will work in reverse as well. Any questions on any procedural issue here? Okay, then let's get right to the meat of this meeting, and that is this worksheet that you have. The one that's in front of you on the table is been updated from our last meeting. So, for example, you'll see under military protocol, New York State Army National Guard. Next to it, it says the National Flag Code. That's what we learned last time. We also know that 2 members were joined with C Company, and Steve had indicated to me after the meeting ended that Chief Warrant Officer Steve Skoda was recently reassigned to the B Company. So that is an addition from the last time. So National Flag Code and B Company are additions. Other than that, this is what you took with you to help note for you things that you want us to consider conceptually in the categories that are listed here. So what we were going to do between the last meeting and tonight was have you notate your thoughts in the categories here so that we can come together, take your information, data entry on this format, and capture everything that you have of concern, thoughts, ideas, to go back then and revisit this and find where we have commonalities and ideas that you want to see go forward so that we can get the concept or concepts together with the town board. So let's start at the top here. We had some research. One is the military protocol. Is there anything that we need to consider other than what's there opposite the National Guard? Is the flag code truly the only protocol that you believe the National Guard would look to us to do? Yes. Okay, so that stands by itself then. And if any of you are really interested in what that might mean or what we would be looking at by definition, please take a look at the brochure that Myron has secured for us through the Sons of the American Legion. I've seen several of these and they all carry basically the same information, a little bit different format at times, but it doesn't read like the code in the legalese. So hopefully this will be a little more user-friendly for you. Thank you, Michael, for doing that. We appreciate that. Okay, is there anything from the C Company that we should be putting down there?
Did you just start about it? Okay, so we have Central weekend. So I sat down with Major Martin, he's our company commander currently, and some other members of our unit. And the 2 resonating things that
And then, Mrs. Koch, if you would continue to see if there's anything else that you believe should be added in there that you learned, Steve, certainly if something else comes up, let us know. Okay. Now, the other research piece here is the family guidance. To help us integrate ideas from the other two families. Sure. So if you have anything to share with us tonight, we'll capture it.
Sure. So I did reach out to the Pryles and the Skodas. Ann Pryle, Dan's mom, just said that she just trusts me and just kind of just wanted to, you know, they live a little bit far away, and will just be happy with whatever we come up with. I've been in touch with one of Steve's sisters, Catherine, and she is an artist, and so had some visions, and she was gonna send me some sketches of some ideas that she had. She liked the idea of focusing on their sort of, like Steve said, the celebration of their life, and more of, you know, the fact that they were medevac and they saved so many people, and they, you know, not only that night, most likely, but throughout their entire military careers. You know, the sacrifice, focusing on that. She had the idea of, since it was Black Hawk, having almost like a hawk bird, as they, you know, refer to them as well. And she had mentioned it being like you could be able to walk around like a 3D 360, something that you can walk around, and you know, that hawks have large wingspans. And she was talking about, you know, like bronze is a material that holds up really well. So those are all the notes that I have from her. And she was gonna send me some additional ideas when she has them, so I continue to share them. And then just from my perspective, I'll say that I from the location standpoint, so Christian and I combined our families together, and I live on Gravel Hill Lane. The reason we had looked and looked, and I had lived in Pittsburgh and he lived in Caledonia, and I lived in a neighborhood and he lived on land, you know, on 12 acres. And we were trying to find a good compromise. And so we decided on this town, and then we found our house, and it's on a cul-de-sac, but we have acreage, and it was like the perfect kind of just, it was a perfect compromise for us. It was awesome, and he couldn't believe it, and he loved it. And so at the end of our street, which I know was on this list, there are trails, and that we walk with the kids, you know, daily, all year round. And it's our understanding that they can never be built on. There's some, the Mendon Foundation has something that's Native American, and he actually was really interested in reading about it and learning about it. And I mean, he would just talk about honestly daily how lucky we were to find that neighborhood, and how much he loved it, and he loved those trails. And so to me, and I spoke with Catherine about this as well, that location just has such deep meaning for me and the kids, and Christian, and she liked the idea as well of it, you know, having something more to do with nature. Like, these are guys that, you know, would spend a lot of time outside in nature, and versus you know, like more of a building or something that doesn't resonate with them as much. So that for this week is sort of our input. I don't know if anyone has any questions or.
As you look at what Dan has put up there, Teresa, is that something that you think?
Maybe Danny could read it, we can't read it. I can't anyway.
Yes, okay.
We tried to get it to be as.
Oh, and I did have to, you asked the kids, and I did have the kids, they did some drawings, I can pass them around. Of what they like, what they would wanna say, so they're, it's cute, and, I'll pass them around, so it's-
One of the things that I asked of Mrs. Cope was if the children could draw something, we might take concepts from that
Right,
and
Yeah.
input it here and be considerate of the feelings.
yeah, I thought that was really cool.
As you look there, is that?
Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
Just clerical, Catherine is CATHRYN. That's how she spelled
Why?
it. No, we just said that.
Sure.
Also something looking up, I don't know if I said that or not, I was looking at my notes, she was thinking of looking up into the sky. Something pointing up to the sky because they were, they loved being in the sky and that as well.
Another clar, medevac is MEDEVAC,
And would be all caps.
that's all caps, yeah, medical evacuation. That's
And I'm just saying, it's important that what we capture up there is accurate, so if there are other spellings and things that we're not aware of, please don't hesitate. to speak. Anything else tonight, or will you continue to express our thoughts?
Yes,
Okay,
yes, I will.
thank you. All right, let's move down then into the integration options. We know that there's a proposal with Assemblywoman Marge Burns to name a section of Route 64 posted honoring. So is there any other integration thought that you might have that our concept would work into? Could adjoin, could amend, could mix with? Did anybody come up with anything like that in your thoughts of what to do? Yes.
I did, one of the ideas I had was, we have several flags around town currently, on the flag poles obviously. And, we added some more and the line, street, or the section of 64, obviously, it's state permission, I'm sure, because it's on the state road. And what my thought was Eagles, but I had the idea of Hawks here, because I think that's a great idea. And it's in line with what, your folks are thinking of. Flag poles with Hawks or Eagles, whichever, on top of each one, with, a flag on each possibly. And then lining Route 64, banner with flags. Same idea, so that's why I think that's great.
So would this be in kind of in the same vein of thought of the flags that fly on poles in Hamlet?
Yes. Yes,
So this would be in a, maybe like an additional amount along the corridor on 64?
yes.
Just make sure that we capture there correctly what your thought is. Mr.
It
Higgins?
might be.
First off, and Paul,
Okay,
please,
okay.
Mr. Heaney is my father. There is a requirement on flag protocol that says if you display the flag, which you can do all night, but it must be illuminated at night.
Okay, well, that would be something, if it's going to go to design, that would be
Yeah.
something that would have to be done and different.
I was wondering about that.
Yes,
They're on the utility poles, right? So
They're on the utility poles,
The
right?
street lights and it's.
okay.
But I didn't know where exactly Martha Burns was thinking. I thought she said north of.
64 south of 61.
Outside of Mount.
64.
Now, just FYI, I did talk to RG&E about the possibility of mounting a light on a pole and, illuminating a flag. But that, somebody's gotta pay for that.
Right.
Somebody's gotta pay the electric
Exactly.
bill, okay? And, that's gotta be woven in also.
Yeah, I have a question, really. One of my ideas, it's similar to this Route 64 proposal, but it's not obviously on Route 64. It's actually on Bloomfield Road, Route 66, which is where the crash site is located. Would that county road, would that be a tie-in to that reference?
That would be another idea. It wouldn't tie into anything right now, but it certainly is an option of a standalone, because right now the only proposal out there is the Route 64, so.
Right.
I guess another integration option might be to put something in another memorial site that already exists, like for veterans or something similar. That would be integrating it someplace else. So,
Yeah, my thought was doing something on town property in the right of way on County Route 66 is what my thought was.
so
And I just wasn't sure if it would tie in with that project.
no, because it's a whole different story.
Different thing.
So hold that thought for the next, for when we get to locations.
Okay, that was my
Okay,
question.
all right.
Okay,
Paul?
so maybe that's what I should hold this, but let me just interject it. I've looked at a lot of different locations around here, especially the crash site. My initial thoughts were that crash site, the monument is there, it just blew me away. Then I started studying this monument right outside our window. That could be integrated. There's a circular path in front of that monument. I can envision a stand. Now, I've passed over a picture of an eagle. Not an eagle, yes, an eagle. But the thought crossed my mind, and pass that around. A local artist fabricated that. And I could picture that on a post in front of, in the middle of the circle.
So the integration option would be the
Very,
current
very
Veterans
right, yes.
Memorial.
Yes,
Okay, so let's capture that on here.
yes.
And then, Danny, we're gonna take that Bloomfield Road, West Bloomfield Road, which is County Route 66, and transfer that down where we get to locations.
All right,
So
I can leave it there now and move it when we get
Okay.
down there.
then let's go back up. All right, is there any place else or any other vision that you have that would integrate the idea of our memorial concept into something that already exists? Okay, let's leave that alone then. Don't discount it as we go, forward in time. All right, down under intentions, one of the things that was there is education. Certainly kind of inferring from Mrs. Koch and from Celebration of Life here. The idea is to transmit information not only about these men, but about their service and about their mission. So something in education could be regarding the persons, the military mission. Myron?
Part of I wrote up my concept consideration. I chose the old public library in town at, I think it was 15 or 10 Monroe Street. And I thought that the monument way up would be outside in the front yard. But I also thought the old part of the library could be used as, refinished a little bit, put some kiosks in there and educate the public when they enter, service to the National Guard, service to other first responders, such as the ambulance fire. It'd just be an interesting place for young people and young adults to go in there and see, electronically, kiosks that would educate, and we could put any thing we wanted to in this area. Just for an update, I know the town board is looking for some ways to they weren't sure what to do with the building. I guess I understood that.
We'll just kind of keep it up. There are two or three things we're thinking about, but.
So I thought the old library could be incorporated with the monument.
So under integration options, if we added another bullet on the left column, current, just call it the old library property.
Yeah, 15 Monroe is out
15,
there.
okay.
Okay. And then if you want, maybe push that. And some kind of a monument or some fixture outside the building in front, okay. And then under education.
Inside we could do more artwork. We could have a Black Hawk displayed in there. And also educate the public on what first responders, and National Guard actually do.
So military mission functions.
Yeah.
Down under memorial presence where it says define structure, Dan.
Yep.
Off to the right, if you want to put kiosk there, that would capture the idea of a way to structurally present education or information. Does that?
Yeah, it starts the discussion of how it might look.
I think under education, I think it's important to represent sacrifice. And it's sacrifice of the men, sacrifice of the family, sacrifice of men and women and families that are currently serving and whatever. I think it's important for the community to know that for this monument to represent it.
I circulated this. I don't know if you got it in the.
Yes, it came with your
I think
email.
you did.
Yes.
But this basically, I won't bother reading it since I'm sure you already read it. But there's more to it than these individuals. God bless these individuals. And God bless the ones. I had a similar experience when I was in the service down in Pennsylvania.
Right, you told us about that.
But there are others. And that's why I'm thinking if we put that monument out here, let's draw attention to these three men who selflessly put their lives in jeopardy, and the security of their families in jeopardy, to do the life-saving work that they did. But it really cost them. God bless them. But there are hundreds of thousands of others around the country that do the same thing. That's why I'm thinking maybe we should expand the memorial, not just to these three individuals, but to selfless American heroes. All of them.
I get your point. We get a charge from the town board, and that is a memorial for these three people. And certainly that doesn't discount others and wrapping it all together. You know, maybe would you like us to just under inscription to put Mr. Haney's email suggestion of March 25th? Would that help since you've already scripted it for us? Would you like like us to do that here?
Rather than write the whole thing in there?
No, 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 don't write the whole
no,
thing, just
no.
reference it because,
Yeah, just
yeah,
reference.
okay,
Yeah, a reference to each one.
all right. So that's Mr. Haney's suggestion of March 25th via email.
My father did not suggest that. I see a smile over there.
I understand, I'm sorry. Right, anything else under education before we drop down another one? Myron?
Muffy, I'd just like to add to Tom's comments. We all know that these three men are heroes. But I think they would want to also stress the sacrifice of the families. I think men basically serve our country in the military, and we do it selflessly. We don't consider I don't think any of us consider ourselves heroes. But I don't think they would either. I think they would like to stress a little bit more on family. I mean, Tom touched on it, right? I think it should be brought to. I think we should think along the lines of family and service are equally important.
So one of those, taking that a little, pulling it a little further, goes back to what Mrs. Cope was expressing to us
Right.
about having a family orientation. We talked about a place where your children could go and it would be meaningful to them.
Yes.
So to take the idea of family sacrifice and family
It's nice to
support,
remember
tie the family.
It's nice to remember the veteran, but you want to remember where he came from, what was important to him, to his family, children,
Yeah, that's, and he
and the community.
loved flying, but he, beyond anything else, loved his family, you know, his kids and I, so that's a good point. It was most important to him. Love everything else, so. I like that.
And I think that in my education, a scenic place, I put families together.
Yes.
I don't know this answer, but is there other Gold Star residents that from the town?
Yes.
So we could highlight, to charge from the town board, highlight these three, this catalyst event that has now driven us to form this committee, form idea to give the board. But part of the education is also educate the rest of the town about other Gold Star residents that have served and passed.
Yeah, there's, I know two that I've met through this and through the meal train that we have that, so I have to think of two that have come, but just dropped off dinner and introduced themselves to me and their culture family. So, yeah, I'm sure there's more.
So under education would be an opportune time to identify and define Gold Star family.
In the attendance, yeah.
One other thing, I mean, all these things, I think we can do something that serves all these things without it being, bullet pointed, I mean.
Right, but we're just trying to.
No, I understand, but what I'm just adding another one, and what I'm trying to say is, I'm not just adding to the bottom of the list. I think it's important, and one of the things I do as a father of someone in the military is I try to explain to people that they're not just in harm's way when they deploy. They're in harm's way every single day. Every single mission that they're on, every single, training, all that stuff. And, I unfortunately know of too many accidents that sacrifices that were made on training missions. So I think that's something that I think it's important to clarify.
Just one of the things that I noted was, I think it's important to have it be something that the children are gonna pay attention to and draw interest to. Yeah.
Is there any sense that in addition to something that's going to be placed, somewhere, is there any thought of taking the education component of this as being portable and able to be used in school presentation or something of a community nature from time to time. So that maybe under integration options, one of the things that we would consider is some mobility or portability of certain components of this that can kind of go on the road to where people are so that they don't always need to come to a specific place, but the education can be an outreach. So I don't know, for example, maybe through the American Legion or the C Company or B Company or family, or they could take the piece of education and go to like the Flag Day ceremony at the Manor School every year with a little piece of this, so that we get the message out into the community in a continuous way when it's available to us without always having people to come to the place. Is that something to consider?
I think it's also.
I'm sorry, then let's find a spot to, if you maybe you already did.
Yeah.
Okay.
It could be someplace where, once field trips can happen again. Take a field trip, take the kids on a field trip to where this happens to be. And make it a fun day for them. A remembrance, but a good day for kids.
Okay, so field trips.
Well,
And
it's kind of interesting because it's coming around. Two of my concepts were to involve the community, were to kind of, so it would somewhat interact with the community, would see it. So along these lines, one of my other ideas was, I don't know exactly what you call it. It's not a kiosk, it's an information board. You've all seen them. It's kind of almost about half the size of this table. And you could put a lot of information on it, including pictures. So you could put as much information on this thing as you choose to. It would be mounted on a 45-degree angle so you could read it. And it would be right on, it's on village property, but it would be right on Main Street, right in the middle of town, and currently a very small park setting. So again, you would have people from the community coming into the park, which there's picnic tables, there's seating, there's park benches, there's a very scenic view, and this board would be there. And again, if you're talking about making something mobile, you could detach it and take it somewhere, like to a school, because all the information would be contained on it. That was just another thought that I had on something. But again, two of my thoughts were someplace where the general public would see it.
so that place would be important for us to pick from locations here. So we have two places for us to consider for location.
Yes. This particular one is that, I got it written here. It's that small park where Totem Pole is. Yeah, it has a name. I can't think of it.
Tony
No,
Acton.
that's not all.
No, it's,
Is it Harry Allen Park?
no,
It's by the town hall.
It's Tony
It's
Eckman.
not the park.
Oh.
Yeah, on the other side of town.
Just like.
Right across from Narn Street.
I like to walk by there.
Yeah.
Right. A lot of traffic.
That was kind of one of my thoughts. Hitting a location, and again, this was not taken into any consideration for tonight, but that's a place where people could happen.
This
It's, you know, so it's like,
Vest Pocket Park.
oh.
That's the official name.
Best.
Vest Pocket Park, and that's the thing I'm talking about. You see?
Yeah.
So that could be detached and taken, say, to a school.
The town gives a best pocket park right at the overlook for the fall.
Yes,
It's like,
I'm talking right where
you're
the
talking
totem pole
the
is,
totem pole.
because there's benches and there's stuff there now.
All right, in line with what you're talking about in terms of that storyboard and
Yes.
information, anything that could be integrated with an existing website that's associated with the public's interface with veterans or looking, we ought to put something on the town's website, the village website, the school, if we can. So that the presence of what we have that we come up with for education might be integrated into those areas. So in terms of integration, Dan's already captured that existing website, where it's appropriate, and where it could happen. Okay, symbolism, go down under education. Symbolism, is there a patch for C company, D company that we could draw from for symbolism? The hawk. The state flag could be symbolic of New York National Guard. Unit, does unit
The
have a
nickname
flag?
for the mission is called Dust Off. That's another. That's where it's known more by as Dust Off.
Correct.
Yep, that's
Okay, put that in quotes.
good.
Patch from B
It's actually one
company
word.
as well, Dan. Unit flags. Unit flags.
Not the company level.
They're guy on, they're not very appealing.
Okay, so there's
You
nothing.
gotta go to the next higher level to get the funds.
Anybody have anything else for symbolism? No, but we have it up above the military protocol, so it's in there.
But this is the hawk, I think you're right, the hawk,
I'm looking
that's the symbolism, that's the aircraft, that's the.
And the medevac, I think that, bringing that piece in,
Medevac.
that symbol,
Pete, were they flying a Huey or were they flying a Met Blackhawk?
Blackhawk.
Were they?
Black
Okay.
Hawk.
So I
Huey's
noticed
pretty much all gone now.
the UH-60, isn't that a Huey?
No, UH-60 is a Blackhawk,
Okay,
the Huey is the UH-1.
thank you. Thank you.
Paul?
One thing about, I'm thinking about video. If we could create a video showing maybe some of these sites that we have around town. And a neat way to make video is senior projects for one of the art classes or seniors in an art thing at either RIT or U of R. And I think they both have art departments. And that might be a consideration. Now, it's not something we're gonna do before we finish this project, but it's something maybe for the future to think about.
What would the goal of the video be? Education?
Education.
Or I thought you said of different locations, I thought maybe it was like for us to know what the locations are, okay.
No.
No.
Yeah, why not?
We were talking about,
You can see this is, look at this history of this town, and here's, this is this, 20-minute video or something, whatever it worked out. But that's something I think is a senior project that the kids might like.
We captured that under education, so that would be a mode of,
Yeah,
giving the
yeah,
information.
yeah.
Okay, so that's there. Anything else under symbolism? Right now? All right, let's go to inscription. We have Paul's suggestion here as a reference.
the only other symbolism you could put, there's the Department of Defense, or you could put the US Army has its own symbol. I wasn't sure, if you want to make it all encompassing, you would want to have all the military symbols. There's an array, the crest for every military service, or you could just put the Army symbol.
Well, that's one of the nice things about right out here. You've got all the branches right out there in a circle.
Does the National Guard have a motto?
It depends on depends on the marketing campaign of the month.
Well, it's-
It's all, that motto's all
It's like
driven
the
by
army always
recruiting command.
changing, but yeah.
It's all driven by recruiting command to speak to that 16 to 22-year-old demographic, so.
It's not like my husband's Marine, so this
Not
really
like
proud
super-
of her.
Yeah,
Right,
no,
no,
they gotta hit a grand slam with that, it's never changed. No,
So no motto, okay, I didn't know if they did or not.
We need
It's not on my
you.
notes.
So for medevac, we've had one since Vietnam, and it's gonna be when I have your wounded.
It's what?
When I have your wounded, it's one of the ones from medevac that they use a lot.
It's like the radio call, I will leave when I have you.
Yeah.
No, or it's too hot in here, I'm staying, when I have you moved off.
Well, yeah, there's a long story that goes along with it.
We talk about inscription?
Yes.
Okay, I think it's really important that we're reflecting the gratitude of the community for the sacrifice of the men and the families.
In my mind, the description is gonna kind of dictate, where this memorial, where are we going? Is this a all encompassing memorial? Or are we focusing, gentlemen, I think that's, to me, different where we go.
My feeling was when I read all the information ahead of time. And spoke with the surprise about that, was that this was specifically for these three.
That's kind of what I was.
Yeah.
And so that's what I thought we were charged.
And that's why all the other stuff is great, but I concern with you. To make it too broad.
We can lose the.
I think we could put some place. I think, I thought about your idea you mentioned last meeting was, heaven forbid, we have to add this, right? And this, something else happens before you, something else happens in 10 years. This is kind of a standalone thing. It's not something we could build on it. We could add next to it, depending on the location. I think we should focus on these three gentlemen.
Yeah.
And their families, and then if we can, some of the inscriptions can be broad, you can make it of service and all that stuff. But I just don't want to get too broad that we went.
Right.
Well, that's precisely what happened in my case. I heard about these three individuals. And holy cow, and then everything lit up inside my head because of my previous experience. And then I got to thinking, wait a minute, now I'm seeing news broadcasts. Let's disband the police department. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard of in my life, but they're pushing that issue.
That doesn't really dictate, I mean, I'm not sure how that applies to this.
No, I understand what you're saying, and I think that the cornerstone of the whole thing are these three individuals. Absolutely, no question about it. But I think we should expand it. We should also point, they're not the only ones. There's a lot of
No,
people.
but they're the
put their
only
lives
ones,
in
yes,
very
yeah,
different
but they're the only ones that died in that field and that probably saved a lot of our community.
And
So
some-
I think
marker-
that's the
marker in that
focus.
field, I think was very appropriate for that. And I think that the property owner would be agreeable to that.
Right, I think we have enough right there for now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
let's move on.
so,
Is there anything else under the intention of this concept that you think needs to be considered as a standalone item here that we have to pull into everything? Or do we go down to the presence of the memorial and look at what's underneath there? All right, let's go on and then we can come back. If somebody has something that doesn't fit, we'll find a place to fit it in. All right, so.
I bother one thing.
It's okay.
On education,
Yes.
well, with our discussion, we have to educate about these three gentlemen.
Exactly.
It's something simple as their names.
I had that in
Yeah.
mind.
Right, so I mean, I think that, to me, that's education is, who are they and what happened to them? So
Right.
even if it's just their names and dates, I think.
I think there's a phase two, Pete. I think we're discussing phase one tonight, and this committee's charged to talk about the three men who lost their lives. That's phase one. And the continuation would be a phase two where we can educate the public, use another structure for it, or a adjoining structure where the monument might stand. There might be an adjoining building we could use for phase two.
I think the education board is a great idea. It could be
Sure,
next to it.
right. I think that's a phase
Okay.
two.
Okay, all right. Let's go on to the presence here. We looked at kiosk as a present of a structure. Is there another type of structure? We have website would be a structure, the storyboard, for lack of a better term.
So my concern with kiosks and websites, in my opinion, my experience, unless someone's in charge of them, they become outdated and they kind of go away.
Sure.
So I'm not a fan of a kiosk or a website, because someone has to update it to maintain.
I'm all for a storyboard, physical structure. A memorial structure, yes, permanent, physical, yes, exactly.
So a structure could be something literally carved in stone.
Yes.
Which wouldn't require maintenance that we're talking about with these other items.
Yes.
So,
A traditional monument or a stone with a plaque. Is that what we-
Yeah.
That's,
It's something long-term that is gonna
yeah,
last,
that's,
right?
yeah.
The goal is in 10 years.
The lack of the solid maintenance, it's there once and it's gonna remain there with a little bit of maintenance.
In my opinion, the worst thing we do is have something that does not look appropriate in 10 years. When your kids grow up, you want to, sorry, I get goosebumps, but if your kids go back to it someday, you know, they will. It's gotta be something that's gonna be appropriate, and it's gonna look good in 25 years from now.
Well, the thing with the storyboard is, like I said, you could detach that top section and take it to a school. And we have the option of putting information on it, whatever we want to put on it, is we could do that. So my other thought was, I was trying to think of things with involving the public, thinking of the park as a place where the people who live in the community go, and they can say like, oh, look, you know, look at this here, right? But there again, like which leads to another question, which is kind of why I came up with like 3 complete different ideas. Is the family looking for specifically, or do you even know, specifically a monument? Because if I wanted to dedicate my thoughts to a monument, I can most certainly come up with a grandiose idea of large, nothing structure. Okay. Or are they looking for something more like what we're discussing that is going to be more in with the public, with the community? You know, it's like 2 different ends of.
Well, I think you can do both. I think from Catherine's perspective, from Scotta's perspective, she was more focused on I think I said a monument or like a clock or that sort of that picture that you passed around. That was her idea of something just very large and stoic, you can walk around and say. I'll say from my family's perspective, that sounds good. I think I am focused a little bit more on the location of it just being somewhere that the kids do want to go and maybe can, you know, have a moment and maybe it's not in a crowded place. You know, and I think knowing Christian, he's the life of the party, but he wouldn't really want, he would care more about it being like in a beautiful location in nature versus to be on display just so everyone can see it, if that makes sense. Which I know that's what we're doing, but just being true to him, and I know from speaking with Catherine and Steve, you knew Steve and Dan and I didn't, but it sounds like they were this, I mean, at least from Steve was the same of just, you know.
One of the ideas that came up from the military discussion was, I know it's kind of talking about 4 different subjects, I'm sorry.
okay.
The new soccer fields next to the town highway garage, having a, like the newer park, not like the old pavilions and then ponds that are like dilapidated and don't look so hot. Like the newer park buildings that have been built, when they've got almost like a 3-season room on the one end, and you can still use them all year round. It's one of the things Manager Martin said was at least for the next 5 years, every year, we're going to have some sort of memorial on the day of the incident. And if we could have a gathering place that was named after the guys, that would make it that much more meaningful. And that's something the guys kind of brought up, just because they got on Google and started looking at stuff that was already around. And they kind of were like, well, these soccer fields are already here. Like it's already kind of like a focal place, but it's not on a main highway. So people want to pay the respects they can, but also mom and dad are just dropping off Johnny for soccer practice. And little Johnny wants to go run around, well, there's other stuff they can go see, was the concept that kicked around. Sorry, I kept rambling on.
Cynthia?
You gave me the right meeting. Thank you, Steve. Again, thank you, Stephen, you're always there for me.
Your help.
Okay. I brought this up to, I spoke with John Hagreen, who's also on the town board. He was there, we were in a conversation about something else, and then this came up. And, the highway garage area, I don't know, people think the highway garage, they don't want, the highway garage. I sat at the playground area, looking out toward the baseball fields. It is gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. They have its rolling hills. It's got a tennis court, it's got basketball courts, it's got playground, it's got soccer field, it's got a baseball field. The town has been looking into. I get to get out of the bag here. I talked to John Mark, he said it's okay. We've been looking into installing a spray park for the children. And so John Hagan has been instrumental in speaking with the installation people and the engineers and so on. I met with the highway superintendent and John Moffett, and I met with one of the engineers finally last 2 weeks ago. And we found a great place for it right there at the highway garage. I'm getting into too much detail, but they can move the baseball field, which is perfectly fine. Andy, who's the highway superintendent, said, our guys, no problem, move that baseball field over next to the soccer fields. And you'll get the exact spot you need, because that's where the engineers thought was the best place for it. Build a pavilion, a spray park, dedicated park, that entire area of parking pavilion, 3 men. It's like, I sat there looking around and I said, this is gorgeous. The town does have about half the amount right now in Parks and Recreation and reserve funds dedicated to parks. Probably cost about 200.
Is the town owned between the soccer fields and the DPW buildings, do we own that field? There's some trails through there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And maintenance wise, I'm getting into about defense here, but maintenance wise, it's very little to maintain.
So
The
if
biggest
we
cost would be electricity and water.
put down in a standalone area, town, highway, property,
Summer
Spray
Road.
park.
Or just Summer Road.
Summer Road.
It's I just put 101 Summer Road.
Summer Road Park.
Let's put Summer Road Park down where we have the location. And what do you wanna call integration with the spray
Spray
park?
park.
Integration
And
with
the
spray
family,
park.
spray park family area?
They said, the engineer said, I asked them about the pad, and now this would get started this summer. They said they could start it this summer, probably before the end of the summer, shovel in. And then open it by Memorial Day. He asked about a cost, and he said water and electric would, and he said, I'm probably overestimating this, $10,000 a year. And Supervisor Martin said.
So that's a package that the town is anticipating that you could name for this purpose.
And
We're building.
and there will be a
We're building,
building.
I mean,
But you could
We're gonna get
affiliate
a
the military memorial with this project.
I think about 2 weeks ago, I was in South Carolina with my granddaughter and my son. And he said, let's go, they have this beautiful park, and there's a rotary park, we went there. And we just went there, but if it was dedicated to someone, had a monument there, it would be in addition to, it has the draw, but it also has family. But and again, I'm not here to stop anything she said,
I'm just excited
Yeah.
about it because
It's a nice time.
It's a celebration of life. Kids will want to go there. The town, we have talked about doing something, we need to do something for the town, the kids in this town. And so
There's trails over there.
there are trails.
Activities, outdoor.
There's already
Nice
the other
idea.
sporting things. And the highway guys will take care of whatever the maintenance has to be taken care of. There's already electric there. There's already water there. And where it's can talk about names and I'm not going to names for anything. Move that up to these folks, how you want
Well,
to name it.
let's do this, because it's 8 o'clock. So let's think about this idea that you're pretty sure the town is going to do this configuration of a spray park to start, potential pavilion. You've got the location, you've got a pathway clear with some funding for this, so it looks like a project the town's gonna take on. So let's think between now and the next meeting about that as an opportunity to take any other concepts that you feel is important to honor these 3 men and place there. Because if that's an ideal fit for the things that we've talked about so far and other things that are on here, certainly the utilities, the infrastructure and all that kind of thing, that takes care of a lot of that. If the committee sees fit to pick that place and project and integrate the charge that we have for a military memorial for these 3 men at that site,
I mean, you can put
that would be.
What's the?
Yeah.
The.
That doesn't
45
change
angle.
the charge of this committee.
No, not in
Yeah,
any
not at
way.
all. It just is something that can surround this. And like I said, I mean, the great part about it is it's a draw to get people there.
I mean, you can go there. I mean, they go there now, to play tennis, play basketball.
So in
play
addition to that, one of the things that we learned from the supervisor was we don't have to pick just one concept. There might be something else that comes out of this group as another presence someplace else as well. So if what you want will fit this place, that would be one package and option that we can push to the town board for the project that they have, and anything else that you would come up with.
I would like to just ask the family if that would be what the family would want. I mean, a playground and really a lot of activity with the kids and the family and everything, or would they want something more subdued and reflective? I mean, what would the family feel more comfortable with?
Obviously, I'll just speak for my own family right now, say, I need to tell them, I'll check with the SCOTUS, but I mean, obviously my initial thought was different, I didn't know about this, it's exciting just because Christian would be like so excited, first of all, that there was this great park. Very excited. And we wanna bring the kids there all the time, and I think that's it is it's a cool concept of being able to tie that together and be able to bring the kids there all the time and have it be fun, but also say, hey, look, this is talking about daddy and being able to, I think that's really cool, and you absolutely love that.
And I did ask the engineer in the pad, is there, we have design in the pad, so, and he said, oh yeah, and then we want that, if you want something in the pad, we can.
Be a walking.
That's what I was thinking.
That, some of the stuff.
You're not to the final design phase of the park, are you? 'Cause I'm
Oh,
saying
we're at the very initial.
I mean, that's,
I mean.
Yeah.
so whatever we have to incorporate in, it can be designed into.
Yeah, and that's kind of it's almost like this happening over here, this happening here. Ooh, babe, what's happening here?
John Daggy and I have been trying to talk to supervisor that's looking into this for a year, and now he's like, let's do it.
Paul? Paul?
Listening to Steve, listening to Cindy, and now listening to Teresa. I'm changing my mind a little bit about using this facility outside the window here. Because how many people here know where Buckland Park is? One, 2, 3, okay, did I miss anybody? 4. 4 people. It's on Westfield Road, Westfall Road, near Wynn. Okay, on the south side of the road, there's a big park. At the east end of that park is a great big open area. The kids are out there, they can play around, they can do all kinds of great stuff. There's an eagle made by the artist that created the new thing that I circulate. Up in the air, a big pile of rocks there, and it's 20 feet up on the top of those rocks is a post, and then, or the eagle sits on top of this whole thing. And knock your eye out. But it's only there. It's not the center place of the whole thing. It's a place, it's play, there's tables you can sit at, have your lunch. So I like the idea of this well-used area. And if we got a place to put it up, then heck with this field out here, that's already there. Let's do something. I think, boy, am I glad I came back tonight. No idea how much
All right, so
how enthusiastic I've become tonight.
let's leave here tonight with the idea that the town is moving ahead with a project that definitely has this idea to incorporate in any number of different ways. And continue to look to see if there's another concept that we want to come up with as well to present. And we'll take a look at what you talked about, Cynthia and Tom, and getting that out on here as a single project so that, you know, we can say, yep, infrastructure's at Summer Road, utilities at Summer Road. We can do
Parking,
that.
that's somewhere else.
Yes, and then other things that you might have for conceptual ideas, we'll continue to put down because we may want to come with a couple of suggestions for the town. Okay?
And if any of you want to go over there where I sat, and I just kept looking around saying, "Hey, this is gorgeous." I sat right at the east side of the playground, looking out at the baseball field. Because that's where, and I just kept saying, this is gorgeous.
Sorry. We have, John Hoffman went and looked at a facility that the company did in Brockport today and took 8 pictures.
Oh, sweet.
Rock is in Rock.
It's in Rock.
But anyways, I can send that to Denise.
Send it to
And she
Denise,
could
she
forward
can
it,
forward
just
it
to
out.
kind of give you an idea of what we're talking about. Now granted, it's April, you know what? But you get an idea.
And that's just one example of.
Yeah, so just, I mean-
Everyone happens to be one that is still open, or that is open, excuse me, soon.
I'll take care of it.
Okay, so for next time, continue to work on your concepts, we'll keep going on this. We'll get everything out on the table and then try to pull it all back together again. And Myron, thank you for
You're welcome.
the swing brochure.
Yes, Myron, thank you very much.
Teresa, you're gonna continue to talk with families. And if there's anything else that comes through the military companies. Okay. Is there anything else that we need to talk about tonight?
It just, if you like, I can throw out a couple of numbers. To reintroduce that kneeling soldier in bronze,
Yeah,
I believe it's $800.
okay, that's gonna be important for the town to
Okay.
know.
Yeah, but it's, you know, that's the ballpark thing.
Okay,
To reproduce this plaque that I'm talking about here,
yes,
that's gonna be about, I think, 400.
okay,
And to do the eagle, about 18,000.
okay. All right, thank you.
So, but, you know, don't hold it. Nobody's holding anybody to those numbers.
Was there anybody on Zoom at all? So there's no public comment back from that. Okay, the next time we'll be here is April 27th. Great, okay, thank you all.
Thank you.
Twenty-seven, yeah.
Oh, no, that's me. Oh, no, that's me. I wrote it.